Welcome, and thank you for joining. We're thrilled to connect with you virtually for today's art therapy activity. Moreover, we're grateful you've taken a critical care moment for yourselves. We're glad to have this opportunity to safely connect, to support, and share with one another in honor of Survivorship Day 2021. As a guide for today's art therapy module, we're going to be looking at the definition, benefits, and current art therapy service offerings. We're going to afford contact points for inquiry, sharing, and/or scheduling of art therapy services, as well as directive and prompt for today's home-based art therapy experiential, inclusive of a materials showcase. In light, my name is Rachel Upton-Rice, and I am the art therapist here at Cleveland Clinic, Florida. I provide direct care services for the Department of Hematology Oncology, as well as hospital-wide, as requested for patients and caregivers alike. As an art therapist, my professional aim is to positively facilitate individuals through the innovative, individuated, and integrative use of art therapy in their pursuit of health and well-being. Art therapy is an integrative mental health and human services profession that facilitates the well-being of individuals and groups through active art making, the creative process, applied psychological theory, and human experience within a psychotherapeutic relationship. Through integrative methods and means, art therapy engages the mind and the body and the spirit in ways that are distinct from verbal articulation alone. Kinesthetic, sensory, perceptual, and symbolic opportunities invite alternative modes of both receptive and expressive communication, which can actually circumvent the limitations of language. Visual and symbolic expression then gives voice to experience and empowers both individuals and/or groups in transformation. Additionally, art therapy works to aid in the reducing and managing of symptoms of anxiety and depression and/or pain. Art therapy also assists in the identification and active management of quality of life issues and/or psychosocial stressors, and further promotes overall integrative well-being as well as enhanced quality of life. Art therapy works to promote personal expression, reflection, insight, and of course, that transformational opportunity. Art therapy also works to employ a process-based orientation as well as personal action step responsiveness. In light, it encourages play and fun and creativity and also personal exploration in process. Art therapy honors all experience levels and all forms of expression, be it verbal, be it written, be it creative, solo, and/or in group connection. There are no wrongs in the creative process. In terms of art therapy services, we have complimentary services here at the Maroone Cancer Center, which means no fees for session and/or materials usage. Our art therapy sessions can be geared towards individuals, couples, and/or family, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our scheduled art therapy sessions are set with an art therapist geared to address individual, couples, families, and caregiver needs in a safe, confidential, and therapeutic environment. Session times range from 45 to 60 minutes, and of course, no prior art experience is required. We also offer art therapy groups and workshops. These are monthly offerings and are evidenced on our support services calendar, which is located on the Maroone Cancer Center website. Most groups are held virtually and/or in person in the art therapy studio here at Maroone Cancer Center on the 3rd floor. In description, our monthly groups and workshops are offered to address meaning-based themes, creative expression, reflection, and insight in a supportive environment. Our workshops and groups are normally 30 to 60 minutes in length, and no prior art experience is required. We also offer an art therapy open studio. This is held every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to noon. It is drop-in only and no reservations are necessary. The Art Therapy Open Studio is held here at the Maroone Cancer Center, here in the Art Therapy Room, and it is an art therapy facilitated open studio for creative expression, reflection, and self-discovery. Patients and caregivers alike can actually select from a wide variety of materials for creative engagement and learning. Sessions last anywhere from 5 minutes to 60 minutes. Whatever time you have, we have for you, and no prior art experience is required. We also offer a mobile art cart. The mobile art cart is a moving cart, just as it sounds, and it rotates throughout the infusion suite and the inpatient units Monday to Friday between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. In description, this is an art therapist manned mobile art cart. It is for patients and caregivers alike, and they can select from a wide variety of materials for creative engagement while participating in their infusion-based treatment sessions and/or when they're engaged in an inpatient stay. We also offer an art wall and rotating art gallery Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. here in the Art Therapy Studio at Maroone Cancer Center. In description, the patient and caregiver art expressions are either created here in collaboration, individually, and/or at home, and to be showcased and displayed on a rotating basis in the Art Therapy Studio, here at the Maroone Cancer Center on the 3rd floor. Of note, if you have more formal patient or caregiver-based art showing, we can request that through Cleveland Clinic Arts and Medicine Department. Finally, we are offering a research study, and this is a randomized controlled trial to assess the benefit of art and music therapy on quality of life in patients with breast cancer. The primary objective of this study is to determine the wellness efficacy of a 3-month therapist-led art or music therapy program in improving quality of life in patients with breast cancer who are currently receiving therapy, as well as survivors of breast cancer. For more information on the research study, any of the noted service offerings, and/or to schedule an art therapy service, please contact myself. Again, my name is Rachel Upton-Rice, and I can be reached through the registration line at 954-659-5840. and/or via email at uptonr@ccf.org. We are here to meet and serve you in any and all capacities. And to reiterate, all of the art therapy services are complimentary, inclusive of materials and materials usage. So now we'll move in to our Art Therapy Directive. And today's directive for Survivorship 2021 is entitled Seed of Potential. We all need acknowledgement, embrace, and encouragement to grow. So in reflection, you've been through the extraordinary experience of cancer, an experience which strengthened and developed you in exponential and highly noteworthy ways. In light, it's important for you to acknowledge and honor and embrace your experience, not necessarily the experience itself, but the lessons learned, the strengths and capacities built and forged, and the positive personality and character developed in process. Everything you've gone through, cancer experience and/or other, you've grown through. Ultimately, the cancer experience created a mighty trove of personal potential and/or seed within you. A potential, once discovered, is ready for intention planting and cultivation and flourishing in the world. For symbolic reference, you've been provided a conceptual seed. One or all, as many as you wish, representing your newly forged potential. Everything you have and hold for purposeful employment at this survivorship juncture. So in inquiry, what personal potential resides in your seed? What newly forged good would you like to plant and nourish and cultivate in your life? And supportively, what type of environment, inclusive of nurturing elements, would support the positive development and flourishing of your potential? Finally, what is your vision of fully realized potential in and beyond survivorship? Once identified, please express out your vision of intention planting, consistent nourishment, and of course, purposeful growth of your newly identified potential, from discovery to fulfillment. Again, the conceptual seed is just a representation of your potential, the lessons learned, the strengths and capacities built and forged, and the positive personality and character developed in process. For further consideration, in regards to the seed, everything in life starts as a seed, and every seed has exponential potential. Any fruits in your life are the result of intentionally selected, planted, and nurtured seeds. So practice patience in your seed's growth and development. Your seeds will develop at the right and perfect time. Don't give up on your potential, because growth in life is slow and gradual, and it happens in right stages. But do expect growth in your life. Growth and development are assured in healthy and wellness-oriented individuals. In terms of suggested materials, we have all of these materials on hand here at the Maroone Cancer Center, and I wanted to walk you through each of the materials from mixed media paper through the resistive materials all the way to the fluid materials. I'm also going to connect in, for your reference, regarding the art therapy journal writing and processing that happens post-creation. So we'll walk you through each step. So to get started, I just wanted to walk through the basic materials that we start with, and that's our white paper stock. So we have a lot of white mixed media on hand. This is an actual small white mixed media paper. This can hold many different types of media, and that means resistive or fluid. We have the watercolor sheet, which is a hard grade stock. Any of the watercolor sheets are actually created and utilized for paint processes, and they can hold any type of paint, watercolor or acrylic. We also have standard drawing paper on site for exactly what it sounds like, either just drawing using colored pencils. You can use markers, you can use oil pastels and chalk pastels, and it will hold all of those materials very well. It is a bit thin for paint. That's why we suggest the watercolor sheets for that process. We also do have small canvases on site. These small canvases can also be, if you don't have any on hand, you can either utilize some of ours or they can be picked up at any local art store. Again, any product, any company of your choosing. So now that we have a good sense of our base media, we're now going to move over and we're going to walk through the different resistive media that we have on hand here. So we're just going to start with a very basic lead pencil. We have lead pencil with eraser and, of course, a pencil sharpener, which is always good, especially if you are working at a frenzy when people start creating. So I'm just going to run down some of the basic lines that you can get, from a pencil. Again, it can give you a very thin and controlled line. You can also put a pencil on the side, kind of switch it to a side orientation, and you're going to get a little bit thicker of a line. So again, just depending on the orientation and how you hold it. We also have colored pencils and we keep a range of colors. We want to have as many colors at your disposal as you can see. This is a color-based room, and we really want you to enjoy the colors and all of them to their fullest. So try to provide yourself with as much opportunity as possible. I'm going to use red just for our demonstration here. Again, you can use the tip, and you're going to get a very fine, controlled line. But again, it will be in color versus being in lead. And then again, you can also bring that colored pencil to the side, and you're going to again get a thicker line mark or stroke than the fine point tip. Again, you can use the eraser, and you can also use the sharpener in process with this media as well. The next media we have on site, and I think it's a good media just to have in your basic supply list. We have the thin marker and the thick marker in a variety of colors. So again, the thin is exactly what it states and suggests. It's going to give you a very fine and thin controlled line. And then the thicker marker, I'm using the same color just so you can see it next to each other. And you can see, compare and contrast. You're going to get the same color, but of course the line will be thicker, but both controlled. So these are all resistive, which equates to controlled media. The next item here that we suggest and we love to use on hand, and as you can see here on the art wall, the oil pastels, the chalk pastels, actually the colored pencils and the marker are all in play, as are watercolor and acrylic. So this actually holds all the media I'm about to show you now. So next up we have the oil pastel, and the oil pastel is basically an oil crayon. So just what you would expect from a crayon in terms of the movement. The difference with the oil is it is much more fluid. It does build, and you can blend it very beautiful. It doesn't have a wax base like the crayon does. It has an oil base. But we call it an oil crayon because it works a lot like a crayon. And so the beauty about, we get one strip down of the oil, you can go back over it, and as you can see, it gets deeper and denser with each movement over. You can also switch the grades. So basically, if I move in one direction with the oil, As you can see, you see some of the paper coming through. If I just switch the orientation or the grade of the paper or the grain, I take the oil pastel then back over it, and it's going to give you a really dense and lush appearance. And it will take out all the granular pieces from the paper. So it has a lot of lovely orientations. And I'm also going to show you what it is to blend. So if you take this oil pastel, I'm going to bring the orange oil pastel up over it. And I'm going to bring it down a bit so you can see the definition of color. But as you can see, you get a beautiful blended opportunity with these media. Next up are the actual, what we call chalk pastel. This has a chalky substance, chalky media. So it's going to give you a very different effect. You can get broad swaths of color, and again, it blends beautifully. And I'll show you in doing the orientation. So again, they give you two different types of pastels, one being oil and has a much deeper and denser, more velvety consistency. And then you have the chalk, which you can see has a chalky aspect to it, but again, beautiful blending capability. The other thing I'll suggest, you can actually blend with your fingers, and you can blend out all of the underlying paper if you like. And you can blend up as many colors as you like. So it's a really fun medium, but a very messy medium. Okay, so that is the basics of our resistive media. Now we're going to move on to our fluid media, and fluid being exactly what it suggests. It has a fluid base, and or we have to add water to it in order to create a fluid substance. So we're going to start actually with and I need a little bit of a paper towel here. The other thing I always want to say to keep on hand, a lot of paper towels. So with the fluid media, you're always going to want a cup of water, a variety of brushes with different brush orientations so you can get different brush strokes. And again, these are all selected based off your desire, your needs in the creative process. There are no wrongs. I'm using a bit of a thicker and wider and more squared off brush. And we're going to actually first start with the watercolor. So the watercolor pads are what they suggest. They are a watercolor. It is a pad. It is a dried paint substance, so you have to add water. Some watercolors you can actually get in the liquid, but they are very dense, so I would caution, particularly around nice clothing. But with these watercolor pads, they're very easy to use. You're just going to dip your brush in the water. You're going to go to whatever color you select. I'm selecting this beautiful blush pink to start. And then I'm going to go down on the watercolor sheet. And as you can see, it gives you a very transparent but beautiful color. I'm going to I have also, if you can see down here on this piece, these are actually dried watercolors. So this was the orange with the yellow, and if you can see, it gives you a beautiful blending opportunity as well. Because of the fluidity of the material, it has a lot of wonderful fluid and blending opportunities. So we use that beautiful pink. Let's use this peach next to it, and let's see what we get. And again, you've got a beautiful peach, but then when they come together, again, it's a beautiful blended effect in between. The other thing I love to do, once things are dry, I always suggest take a look back at it, see if there's anything you want to draw out of it. When paint is dry, it's a great opportunity then for things to emerge, right? Shapes to emerge. Use the colored pencil, use marker, use oil pastel or chalk pastel, and you can actually draw out any images or highlight or provide contour line to any of those items you see. And that is really dramatic, I think, particularly with the lighter and more transparent media. So with that, I'm going to just show a contrast with the acrylic media. Again, this is a water-based media. And I'm going to put it side by side with the watercolor so you can see the difference in consistency. So basically the difference with the water-based acrylic is that you're going to get a much more dense and opaque appearance. So if you look at them side by side, this being the watercolor, this being the acrylic, again, more dense, more opaque, and the watercolor being more transparent. I want to liken that, if we go back to the oil pastel and the chalk pastel, different media, but similar in the sense of, if we're looking at the transparency of the watercolor, that's much more similar to the chalk pastel and the blendability of the chalk pastel. There's a transparency there. Whereas the acrylic is more dense, more opaque. If you look at the oil pastel, you get a more dense, opaque, and again, velvety appearance. So it's just determining what effect you're looking for and choosing the media that works in alignment with that. But again, there are no wrongs in art. So I just wanted to put forth the basic presentation of how to utilize these materials. Again, many different ways to use the materials. There are no wrongs. I encourage that you explore, that you actually have some fun. Again, it's all process, not product oriented. So get used to the different media and how they can be utilized, particularly in relationship to your therapeutic needs. In turn, post-creation, we ask that you study your creative expression and note any thoughts, feelings, and/or key learnings discovered in process. These insights can provide prompting for your next wellness-oriented action steps. Of note, given your at-home creative process and experience, it may be helpful to use any journal or writing sheets available for your own personal reflection, future sharing, and processing with this therapist and/or discussion with trusted others. So I just wanted to highlight what this process looks like. So many of you may not have been engaged in an art therapy session before. You may never have processed your own art before, particularly off of an art therapy directive and/or in connection or conjunction with an art therapist. So I just want to walk you through the very basic process and something that you can do on your own, since you are doing this as a home-based process and practice this time. So we're just going to use this as an example, okay? So if you were to have your final piece, your creative piece, we then just have some processing questions that would go along with the actual image, okay? So questions you may ask yourself. I always want you to just connect into, what do the individual elements here have to tell you, right? What does the overall have to tell you, right? Everything is connected. They're going to be very important pieces of information in each of your creations. And so I think it's very important to honor the different elements, the key learnings, the insight that is garnered from these. Once you've done that and taken stock of all the different elements, why you use particular elements, say why I use a strip of yellow down the center of each of these leaves or these seedlings, why there is a titch of blue, why there are pods of brown. These are all important things to note and really are all points of reflection for whoever the creator is, and only you as the creator can actually answer these questions, all right? You hold the key, you hold the insight. The beautiful thing about this is once you've actually determined the meaning and the key learnings from each of your image components and the image as a whole, you can then think about, well, what does it need? You know, what is it that this is telling me, number one, but then what might I need to add, subtract, shift, or alter in order to move this forward in a very positive and purposeful way? So I always love it because it holds so much information, and not only just information for this current state, but your next step in life, next step in the therapeutic process. Okay? To do that, we do have some art therapy based and actually just traditional journal prompting, again, based on the individual elements, the piece as a whole, just how do these individual elements actually influence the whole, and again, what is it that this piece needs? Now that you're seeing this information, is there something that burns in you to kind of step in and answer from this point forward? And that can be answered through another visual directive. It could be answered in and with a therapist or maybe a trusted other, okay? Again, there are no wrongs in the process, but there is incredible information to be held in each of your personal pieces. So we offer on hand here just straight journal sheets. Again, you can do your own reflective questioning. If you want, you can also add some visual. I like to do a visual diary as well. You could even pull out the different elements, the different colors, and really connect into each of those individual elements and again, what it means as a whole. But if you have these at home, it's easy to create. If not, and/or we have them on site here for you. We also encourage a music selection of your choice in play throughout creation, and/or selections from a focus or say relax or meditation stream. I always say go to your favorite music, because that's going to be something that is going to provide you a sense of peace, a sense of focus, a sense of calm, and can also provide you a great sense of energy in the creative process. But I know it's a very individualized selection, so that's why we don't promote any one specific type of music. It's whatever type of music works for you in creative practice. Now, after thoughtful consideration and process orientation, we ask that you please clear your mind and focus only on your personal potential and how and where that potential can be planted, nourished, and cultivated for personal thriving in life. Enjoy the process of self-discovery and honoring as we honor you and your process in kind.